disinfect our wellies before we enter the chicken shed. And this is where it all happens. Now on site at any one time we have somewhere in the region of 3,000 chickens. We have giant barns where they are kept overnight in safety, but during the day they run around and have the freedom of the fields. And a very kind chicken has already left us a little egg there. But as you can see, there are lots of eggs, what we call floor eggs. So even round here, just along there, you can see that some chickens lay their eggs outside of what we call the nesting boxes. Now the chickens mainly use the nesting boxes, which is a great convenience to us. Ordinarily, one of the farmhands would go in and pick up the floor eggs, as we call them, and put them into a basket. And then the baskets are all collected here, and they're collected through the day. And then once a day, first thing in the morning, we run what we call the belts. So if you look at this is essentially a conveyor belt. But what's actually happening here is the lights have gone out down here, but these are all the backs of the nesting boxes, and the eggs roll down onto the conveyor belt. So what we do then, we come in here first thing, and we take a basket, we set the conveyor belt running, and the eggs slide out onto here. Now all we do up here is collect the eggs. And these are all lovely and clean because they come straight from the nest box, the odd feather, just a good measure. But if we find any dirty eggs, we put them in this basket, and those eggs will become washed eggs. We'll go down to what we call the polytunnel, which is another one of the large barns, and I'll show you what happens there in terms of grading the eggs. When we come out, we go back to the hose pipe, feathers. So all I'm going to do now is rinse off my boots again, and disinfect. All of those baskets will then come out onto the pickup. We stack them. The floor eggs go in there in the baskets, and any of the dirty eggs will go on the side there. Then someone will drive the truck down to the polytunnel. So the pickup truck will drive down to here, and we will have this area, which we call the polytunnel, open, and this is where the egg grading happens, and where we wash the eggs that go straight to the shop. Right, so this area is called the polytunnel, and what you have here is some of the chickens have come in because we've had a little bit of rain today, but you can see the openings, 3 large openings, and first thing in the morning as you raise those, the chickens all dive out into the field. To enjoy the grass and a bit of daylight and sunshine. We have the same setup in here. You can see already we're accumulating floor eggs, and around the corner here there, and the nest boxes are all along the back. The feeders are in the middle, the water containers are there, and they've got everything they need here. They've even got special steps that they climb up to get to the upper tier. Here, when the chickens go into the nest boxes and lay the eggs, they roll out onto the conveyor. But if you look at this top tier, they don't always roll out onto the conveyor. So we come in here and we just give them a little flick to make sure they're all on the belt. And then along here, we've got a couple that aren't out. So we take those out. And I managed to do that without any of the chickens pecking my fingers. And you have all the nest boxes all along here. I'm not sure whether we'll have any chickens in here. No, there's no chickens in here at the moment. But that's where they go to have a little bit of privacy to lay their eggs. And we put them onto the grading machine. Now, these eggs have been washed. So basically these eggs were probably floor eggs. They were not spotless. So we give them a little bit of a wash in these machines over here. And we fill these with a warm water. And we put the eggs in their baskets. So that sitting in the water. And we run them for a very short period of time just to clean those eggs off. And those eggs go up to the shop. The egg grader works on a calibration system, and basically it weighs each of the eggs as they go through, and it drops them into an appropriate bay. Now bay 1 is extra large, bays 2 and 3 are large, 4 and 5 are medium, 6 and 7 are small. So as you can see here, the eggs are already dropping down into their relevant spaces. Now when you look across the top here, these are small, these are medium, these are large, and they're extra large. And what we do now is we would load these into these trays. As they drop out of the machine, they would go into these trays. And then the trays would fill, and every time you have a full tray, you would take a new tray, you line it up. These trays have a little dent in, so in order to line it up flush, you take a flat-sided tray, and that sits directly on the top. And gradually you build up until you've got 6 trays all together, and then we put those trays onto here, and then we load the next 6 on top. So these are all stacked in 12s. And so this section here will all be large. These will all be medium. We have relatively few small eggs, and they would just be stacked over the far side there. To occupy their day by eating the grass and seeds, and as you can see, they're getting very interested in your green wellies. They'll quite like to have a little bit of a peck of those, but at the same time a number of them will just sit down, dig themselves a little hole and take a rest.